So, welcome back to the Real Football Show. This is a special, and on the second segment of this special with Madeline and Sam here, we're going to talk a little bit about the NWSL Fall Series. Of course, let's compare it to the Challenge Cup, but it's kind of hard because it's a completely different setup. The stakes are a little bit different. It's more of a cup competition versus just round robin matches that they have to play to kind of like stay in shape and get more experiences with their team. But then when you talk about like the conditions and stuff, instead of playing like every like 3 days in the Challenge Cup and seeing a huge drop in performance perhaps, but also like goals and stuff toward the end of it, the fall series is shaping up to be a little bit more like league play and with an abundance of players moving around the world, like we mentioned in the last segment, a lot of other players are starting to get more opportunities to incorporate into a professional environment as well as their team. So let's start with you, Madeline. What are some of your biggest takeaways in terms of just following the fall series right now?
I think it's interesting to see how Orlando's doing because they obviously didn't play in the Challenge Cup and they lost like 16 or so contracted players from the team who went abroad on loan. So it's just interesting to see how they're bringing in some younger players and how they're trying to get them some experience on the field.
Yeah. What about you, Sam? What do you have like initial like observation wise?
Yeah, I think I've been really enjoying watching some of the games. Again, it is kind of like you said, a weird setup with just like geographically how they're organizing it. I think it's great that they're still able to have games. And sort of as we've been talking about, it's a really cool opportunity for younger players to get some minutes, to get some starting positions, just get some minutes under their belt. But yeah, it's an interesting setup. I don't know. It like doesn't feel real, but like, I don't know, but it's been really fun to watch. And I'm glad that, it presents some new opportunities for more rookies in the league.
hmm I mean, speaking of those, of course, a lot of like we mentioned, a lot of them have been getting opportunities. I think the most actually the most evident one is probably with Washington, with Rose Lavelle now gone, with I believe DiBiase still nursing an injury. They have been mixing up with their lineup a lot. Like you saw Ashley Sanchez, who's one from UCLA, and she's been hyped up for forever now. Uh, Continue to play well in the NWSL, and even dropped into a number 10 role just to like get the ball more. And then you see like players like McCool and McClure starting, who like if you follow college soccer, like they've had great seasons last year. So Sam, what is like just have like just being a young player in this scenario and having the opportunity presents to you just from your standpoint? What do they need to do to ensure their careers go the right direction?
Um, I mean, I think they're doing great so far. Washington in general is just like a younger team. Definitely a really exciting team to watch just with the young talent that they have. I don't think it's as simple to say that it's like a how-to or what they can do to continue that. I think the fact that they are so young does benefit them. And I just think they're an exciting side to watch. I think if they just continue to, perform the way that they have been, continue to get more experience and just get minutes under their belt. Again, the professional game is so much different from that of college soccer. If they can continue to just add to their experience, that they're going to be awesome and they're going to continue to succeed. But they've been a really exciting team to watch so far.
hmm Madeline, of course, the one thing that the U.S. setup doesn't lack is young talent. And having this opportunity for coaches or even for officials to kind of navigate and look at the situation, how do you feel like this could benefit the teams, of course, the league, and also even in the grander scheme, looking at some of those players who might get an invite to like a practice squad or even the main USWNT squad?
Well, it's really great for young American players because a lot of the ones that went overseas are players that we already know about. We know how good they are. And for the younger players just coming out of college, it's really an opportunity for them to get minutes on the field and, showcase their talent, which they might not have as much of an opportunity to do with a normal season and all the usual players on the teams.
Yeah. So like you said, we just mentioned the known quantities or like more well-known players going overseas. There's also a very interesting conundrum in the NWSL right now. Like I saw a tweet about it yesterday that overseas players still need to be protected for the expansion draft, and as we know, there are two expansion drafts coming up in the future with Louisville and also LA. So there is a debate. I want to say kind of like a debate about you know that some players are going on loan deals, but then when you talk about maybe the bigger players like Rose Lavelle, where Washington just traded her rights away to Utah, that might be them expecting her to play like 2-3 years in Europe. So I'll throw this to you first, Madeline. What do you think NWSL teams are going to do when maybe some of the big name players would perhaps want to stay in Europe a little bit longer? And I know this is a case by case basis, but then like what do you think could factor into their decision making?
Well, it's definitely an interesting situation because we haven't seen an expansion draft for a few years now, I believe, since Orlando came into the league. So, if the rules are kind of staying the same, I mean, teams are gonna have to make decisions, players are gonna have to make decisions, and I don't know. I guess we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, what about you, Sam? Just like of this timing, like we said, are they going to stay a little bit longer, and then the Olympics coming up, and that might factor in and out of their decisions?
Yeah, I kind of like Madeline said, I think it is case by case. I think it definitely could present some issues just for the sake of the NWSL, just with how popular, some of those national team players are to their respective teams. But again, I think ultimately it just comes down to personal development and how important that will be, and they ultimately have to decide which is going to be the best option for them. And but yeah, I think it could present some issues going forward just with their contracts, but we'll see.
Hmm. So finally, just kind of like starting where it ended, is there any team or any player that you guys have been really impressed by in this again weird world of ours where players are separated into zones and just play like what seems like practice games and stuff to keep themselves sharp? Let's go with Sam first.
Um, I still have been really impressed with Houston.
Mm.
I just think that they're an exciting side to watch. I think that even without Rachel Daly, that they just seem very cohesive, and I feel like that was something rare to see, especially in the Challenge Cup. I just feel like their team chemistry, their ability to understand one another as players was something that I didn't really see in other teams. They obviously, I mean, they're a very talented side, but there are other teams that have like more notable rosters, I'd say. But I feel like just get each other, and they're very cohesive, and I really enjoy watching them because I feel like they play as a unit as compared to just like individuals taking over.
Mm-hmm. Madeline, who you got?
I have to agree with Sam. I think Houston were really impressive in the Challenge Cup, and it was kind of surprising because like they haven't really been that good in the past. They've always kind of been towards the bottom of the table, not much success, but now like they obviously have a ton of team chemistry, and Rachel Daly was amazing. So it'll be interesting to see how they can maintain that going forward. But yeah, I was definitely really impressed with them.
Like for me, of course, those Ashlyn Harris saves were very highlight worthy. I would agree on Houston because, like, personally, just watching from the Challenge Cup and up until now, I really like the midfield, especially with Shea Groom and Kristie Mewis. And also, I don't want this to sound like a rant, but then Sky Blue finally playing Mitch Purse up top instead of a right back. I feel like that's an excellent decision from their end with like shifting pieces and all that. And Purse could use her advantage, especially in the advanced like statistics column. When you look at her like stuff like expected goals per 90 and stuff, she should be playing up top, and now she is playing up top and making the most of it. and let's see where she goes. So especially trying to get into the national team and just shuffling with the squads, because that's bound to happen with expansion drafts and teams trying to get better, and some moves will be coming down the line. That's all we have for the NWSL segment of this Real Football Show special. There's one more segment. Stay tuned. We'll come back and talk a little bit about men's soccer, and one very important point of contention that has, I believe, most of our blood boiling, I would say, or at least reacting adversely to it. That's all about the handball. So stay tuned. We'll be back soon.